Hello, it's a weaving based update this week. I don't have any progress on the cross stitch that's worth showing you. Maybe next week, but I am focusing on the weaving currently because market coming up. And so let's talk about the weaving that has been finished and some that hasn't been finished. But this has been finished and it's been wet finished. Last week I hadn't wet finished it. This week it has been wet finished, and you can see that we have the different shrinkages in the yarns. So we've got this merino here that I need a third hand to point to. This merino here has shrunk a little bit more than this mohair blend. So what we have is varying textures and varying thicknesses, and what we also have is a really soft scarf. It has come out scarf. It has come out really beautiful and soft. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with the different textures, but I'm pleased with it. It has come out well. I like it. And that's all I have to say about it, but I'll show you the length. You can see the different shrinkages. So that is done. Now, last week I had on the loom the green thing with the texture. Don't stop me if I get technical with my descriptions. Here's a green thing with some texture. Let's see if I can operate my bag. I love this long strap bag, but I find it difficult to operate sometimes. I don't know what that says about me. Anyway, this is not only off the loom, but it has been, in possibly a world first for me, already wet finished before I show it to you. So that is how that came out. I can't get it all in shot. I'm really, really pleased with it. The texture is great, and that is a really soft texture as well. It's quite an open weave because of the texture. It was hard to get like a tighter weave, so I just sort of let it be open. And I've got this great brown and cream coloured texture all through it, and I've left the fringe loose. There we go, because I tried a couple of things. I tried plaiting it and I tried twisting it, and it didn't look right with these texture bubbles, texture lumps, texture pebbles. I don't know what they're called. Texture lumps, we'll go with that. So I've just left it loose. It won't fray, I don't think, so it should be okay. But I really like how that came out, and I like also that the texture, which is not deliberate, has formed sort of bands across, which I didn't plan for. I just let them fall wherever they fell, and they happened to fall in nice tidy bands. So we'll pretend I did that on purpose, which is quite impressive. Well done me. Now, on the loom, I do have something that I was hoping to get finished by today, and I didn't. But before I go and show you, I'm going to explain why I'm excited about it. Because about a year ago, just let me operate this bag, I'm having some trouble. There we go. About a year ago, I bought myself a Vari Dent loom. Now that is Vari as in variation, V-A-R-I, not Very as in very dent. So I'm going to just quickly give you an explainer on what that means for me and for everyone else who has one. This is a standard rigid heddle. It is a fixed dent. So as you can see all the way along, it is the same width. The holes and the slots are all the same width all the way across. This is a 5 dent, which means it's got 5 threads or 5 ends per inch. And these little bits at the top are just from when I'm warping up, so I know the widths without having to count everything. So I can go, well, I'm going to make a scarf that wide, and I don't have to, do any counting. I've got it marked. I chop those off occasionally because I end up with like a whole run of them. Anyway, that is a fixed dent heddle. So if I wanted to do different widths of yarn in this or different thicknesses of yarn in it, I could, but the thinner yarns would be spaced out, and I couldn't use anything thicker than what would fit through a 5 dent. So I could do my thicker yarn for the 5 dent, and then my thinner yarns would be more open. And that's fine if that's the look you're going for. However, what I have in my bag, which means I have to operate my bag again, down here. So what I have on the loom at the moment is my Vari Dent heddle, and I think I brought out an example. Right, so I'll show you it in action. Action's such a strong word, but what it is basically is a standard heddle, but all of this plastic is removable and reconfigurable with different dents, different widths of dents. So I can build my own heddle with different dents. So this is I can't read that because I'm wearing the wrong glasses. I think that's a 15. So I could have my very, very fine lace weight, and I could put it next to a thicker yarn like that, and then I could have an even thicker yarn, oh, this is not going well, on this side. But you can build your own heddle with the different widths so that when you're weaving it, everything is spaced nicely and you don't have any big gaps if that's what you don't want. So I've got a few bits in here. There's another bag of these inside. It's not entirely free form because you are still limited to the widths that you have in your little heddle pieces, but they do give you, like those are both 15, but I can have a wide 15 or a narrow 15. So there is a bit of room to play, but it's not, I mean, you're not completely free forming it, and that's okay. It is still better than having open weave if that's what you don't want. Did that make sense? Is that a sentence? I'm trying to do 3 things at once. One of those is standing up. So that's another 15. I've got so many 15 dents. I'm trying to show you, here we go, some options. So that is stuck in the bag. Here we go. This is a 2.5, which is huge. So that's the 2.5 dent heddle. So I could put some really thick, chunky yarn in the warp and then have it next to some lace weight, and it would all weave up nicely. So we'll go and have a look at what I've got on the loom at the moment, because I've got a very, very conservative Very Dent Heddle project on at the moment with some thick and a little bit of thin, and this is what it looks like. I wanted to incorporate this rainbow fluffy stuff. Stop me if I get technical again. It is, I think it was called Rory by Lincraft, and I only had 30 metres of it because it was from my aunt's yarn stash and she only bought 2 balls of it. So this is how much I have left in total after warping up. So I have used nearly all of the 30 metres. The white is just a plain merino. So in order to incorporate this into the warp, I got out my Very Dent Heddle that I've just been talking to you very excitedly about. It is a little bit of a tricky weave, as you can probably tell by the way that this is sort of all over the place. And it's my own fault, and I'll talk you through why. I'm just going to change the views so that you can have a look at the heddle. And as if by magic, here's the heddle. So it's quite a simple Very Dent Heddle project. I've only mixed the 2 dents. I've got my 10 dent here for the merino and my 5 dent for the rainbow fluff. And the reason it's been a tricksy weave is because I miscalculated this. It's a little bit too thick for a 5 dent. Now, there's a lot of ways to find out what dent you should be using for your yarn. I never use any of them because I'm impatient. So what I do is just loop it through the hole and then see if it's got a little bit of room to move. This did, so it was fine. What I hadn't counted on was that it is quite fluffy, so it does hang on to its neighbours. So this strand here, when I change the shed, will hang on to the ones next to it. So it's a little bit sticky, it's a little bit grabby, and what that's giving me is that texture at the bottom, which is a bit wavy. I'm okay with that. So I've got, as I said, I've got a little bit left. I don't know where I've put it because that would be too organised. So I've got this little bit left here, which I'm going to use as a feature at the end of the scarf. I'm nearly at the end of the scarf, and hopefully I can show you something exciting and rainbow fluffy next week. So I'm looking forward to digging through my yarn stash and my aunt's yarn stash to get some yarn to play with the Very Dent with an A, not Very Dent with an E. My accent, I'm sorry. I know it's fun, but sometimes it's unclear. Anyway, that is all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I feel like I've talked very quickly with a lot of information at you, so thanks for being here. I do appreciate it. You take care of yourself, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.